Hello, animal lover. Welcome to Pets for Sleep. Whether you have been here before, or you are just finding this quiet little corner for the first time, this is a place to slow down, learn something gentle about the animals we love, and let the day soften around you. Tonight, we are looking at a question that almost every pet owner has quietly wondered. When we leave the house, do our pets miss us? Maybe you have seen a dog sit near the door after the keys make their small metal sound. Maybe you have watched a cat stay on the back of the couch, looking toward the window as the driveway grows quiet. Maybe a rabbit has gone still in its corner, or a bird has called once from a perch after the room changed. It is a simple question, but it does not have a simple answer. Because a pet does not need to think in human words to notice that something important has changed. When a person leaves, the house changes in many small ways at once. The floor stops carrying familiar footsteps. The air no longer moves around the person's body. The usual voice disappears from the room. A chair stays still. A bowl is not picked up. A hallway becomes quiet. To a pet, absence may first arrive as a pattern that has been broken. And pets are very good at learning patterns. A dog may learn that shoes by the door mean a walk, or that a certain jacket means the person is leaving for longer. A cat may learn the sound of a food cupboard, the time when the house becomes calm, or the way a person moves before bed. Even small pets, like guinea pigs and rabbits, can learn repeated sounds connected to feeding, safety, and familiar human movement. So when the door closes, the animal is not entering a blank world. It is entering a changed version of a world it already knows. If you enjoy these quiet journeys, you're welcome to subscribe. And if it feels natural, to leave a comment sharing where you're listening from tonight. It helps others find their way to this calm corner of the world, one sleepy traveler at a time. The quiet continues here, just as it is. One of the gentlest ways scientists study this bond is through something called a secure base test. A secure base is a familiar being who helps an animal feel safe enough to explore, rest, and recover after stress. This idea was first used in studies of children and caregivers. But later, researchers used similar ideas with dogs and cats. In one study of domestic cats, kittens and adult cats were watched as their caregiver stayed with them, left for a short time, and then came back. Many of those cats showed secure attachment. That means the caregiver was not just a food machine or a moving object in the room. The person was part of the cat's safety system. When the person returned, a secure cat could often settle, explore, or move calmly through the space again. This matters because it shows that missing someone does not have to look dramatic. It does not always look like barking, scratching, crying, or waiting by the door. Sometimes it may look like a pause, a lifted head, a body becoming still for a moment, a pet moving to a familiar blanket, a cat choosing the side of the bed where its person usually sleeps. The bond can be quiet and still be real. And this is where the question becomes softer and also more interesting. A pet may not sit there thinking, "My person has gone away," in the same way a human might. But the animal can notice the missing voice. It can notice the changed routine. It can remember familiar signals. It can carry the feeling of safety that a certain person brings. And when that person leaves, the animal's world has to adjust. For some pets, that adjustment is easy. They watch for a moment, then curl up and sleep. For others, the change feels larger. The room may stay familiar, but the center of it has shifted. A dog may listen for a car door. A cat may remain near a window. A bird may wait for the next familiar sound. A rabbit may stay close to a safe corner, where the smell of hay, wood, and home all remain steady. So tonight, this quiet question begins at the door. Not with panic, not with guilt, just with a simple change in the room. One familiar being steps outside. One animal stays inside. And between them is a bond made from scent, sound, memory, habit, and trust. The door closes. The house grows still. And the first thing that changes is not love or memory. It is the sound and rhythm of the home. A few seconds after the latch settles, the home begins to feel different to the animal left inside. The change may be small enough that a person would barely notice it. A dog hears the last step fade down the hall. A cat may turn one ear toward the place where the voice usually comes from. The chair near the table stays still. Air no longer shifts around a moving body. Breathing, fabric, floorboards, cupboard doors, and small human sounds have all become less active. For a pet, those details matter. Many animals build their day from repeated signals. A pair of shoes near the doorway can mean a walk. Keys lifted from a counter can mean the person is leaving. A backpack, purse, coat, lunch bag, garage door, or morning alarm can become part of the same pattern. The pet does not need to understand the whole reason. Its brain only has to learn that one thing often comes before another. This is called associative learning. It means the animal connects two events because they keep happening close together. In the early 1900s, a Russian scientist named Ivan Pavlov became famous for showing this with dogs. His dogs learned that a sound could predict food, and their bodies began reacting before the food arrived. Modern pets do this all the time in quieter household ways. The crinkle of a treat bag can bring a cat from another room. A leash lifted from a hook can make a dog's body brighten before the door opens. The sound of pellets hitting a bowl can bring a rabbit forward from its hiding place. These are simple links, repeated so often that the animal's body begins to trust them. Departure cues work in the same way. For some dogs with separation distress, signs of worry can begin before the person has left. The dog may pace when the shoes go on. Its breathing may change when keys are picked up. A body may become tense near the door because the door has become part of a learned chain. Veterinary behavior specialists often describe this as distress during anticipation. The animal is responding to the early signals before the actual absence begins. Still, many pets respond to the same signals in ordinary, calm ways. A dog may follow for a few steps, then lie down. A cat may watch from the hallway, blink slowly, and return to a blanket. A bird may shift on its perch, then begin preening again. A guinea pig may freeze for a moment, listen, and go back to hay. Those small reactions do not always mean panic. They can simply mean the animal has noticed a familiar pattern beginning. Humans usually explain absence with words. Someone is going to work. Someone is going to school. Someone is running errands, visiting a friend, or stepping out for a short walk. A pet receives the same event through signals in the room. Cloth moves, shoes scrape, metal keys touch each other. The person's smell passes through the hallway. Then the door closes and the signal chain ends in quiet. The home has not become empty from the animal's point of view. It has changed shape. One sound is missing from the floor. One voice no longer fills the air. The usual center of movement has gone still. A couch cushion may still hold warmth for a short time. A blanket may still carry the person's scent. The window may show the driveway, the sidewalk, or the place where the car was. Every pet reads these details in its own way. Dogs often look toward movement and sound. Cats may track changes with hearing, smell, and safe resting places. Birds can be deeply aware of the social rhythm in a room. Small mammals may notice changes while staying close to cover, because hiding is part of how many prey animals stay safe. So the first layer of absence is sensory. It arrives through the ears, the nose, the paws, the whiskers, and the body. Before memory becomes warm, before attachment becomes clear, the animal has already taken in the changed pattern. The house has become quieter. The footsteps have faded. Yet something more delicate remains behind in the fabric, on the floor, near the doorway, and in the soft places where the person had been. Sound is only the first layer. The quieter trace is often the one animals read most deeply. Scent. It rests in cotton, wool, carpet, wood, and skin oils left on the edge of a couch. A blanket can hold it. A pillow can hold it. The sleeve of a sweater can carry it for hours. Near a door, a leash may carry the smell of a hand, a hallway, and the outside air from earlier in the day. To a human, scent can feel faint, almost like background. To many pets, scent is one of the clearest parts of the world. A dog does not simply smell a room as good or bad. It can smell layers, food from breakfast, soap from a shower, another animal near the sidewalk, rainwater on shoes, a familiar person who sat in one spot, moved through one hallway, and touched one blanket. Dogs are built for this kind of reading. Inside a dog's nose, there can be hundreds of millions of scent receptors, depending on the breed. Humans have far fewer. A bloodhound, for example, is famous for tracking scent trails because its long ears, loose skin, and large nose help move odor particles toward the nostrils as it works close to the ground. Even a small house dog is living in a scent world much richer than ours. The nose brings odor into the body. Then the brain decides what the smell means. A familiar scent can become connected with feeding, walking, resting, greeting, being touched, and hearing a known voice. Over time, the smell of a person can become part of the animal's map of safety. A couch cushion may carry more than fabric smell. It may carry the pattern of evenings. A pillow may carry the shape of sleep. A sweater left on a chair may carry the trace of the person who usually bends down, opens the door, fills the bowl, or speaks in a familiar tone. Scientists have tried to look at this inside the dog's brain. Gregory Burns and his team trained dogs to stay awake and still inside an fMRI scanner. An fMRI scanner is a machine that tracks changes in blood flow in the brain. When one brain area becomes more active, it needs more oxygen-rich blood. That change helps researchers see which parts of the brain are responding. This kind of study is difficult with dogs because the animal has to stay calm in a loud machine without being forced or sedated. The dogs in this research were trained to lie still, while different biological scents were presented. Some smells came from familiar humans. Other smells came from unfamiliar humans or dogs. The researchers paid close attention to a deep brain area called the caudate nucleus. The caudate is linked with reward, learning, and positive expectation. In simple terms, it helps the brain respond when something good may be coming. When the dog smelled a familiar human, this reward-related area became especially active. That does not mean the dog was having a human sentence in its head. It means the dog's brain treated the familiar human smell as meaningful and rewarding. The scent carried value. A person's smell was enough to wake up part of the brain connected with good expectations. This gives the quiet room a different feeling. After the door closes, the pet may still have access to something real. The person's body is gone from the room, but tiny chemical traces remain on cloth, furniture, door handles, bedding, and the places where skin and fabric touched. A cat may rub its cheek along a familiar corner, because scent is part of how cats mark safe spaces. A dog may lie on a sweater, because that smell belongs to someone important. A rabbit may settle near bedding that carries the steady odor of home. Scent makes absence less empty. It gives the animal a trace it can return to. Yet a scent does not stay exactly the same. Air moves, heat changes, odor molecules spread out, weaken, and mix with the smells of the room. The person's trace slowly becomes thinner. As the quiet hours pass, the home may carry a different scent pattern than it did when the door first closed. And that leaves a strange, soft possibility. For some pets, absence may have a changing smell. The trace left behind begins to thin in slow, ordinary ways. Tiny odor molecules move through the air, settle into fabric, mix with dust, and drift into the softer corners of a room. Warm air can lift scent from a blanket. A draft under a door can pull it along the floor. Sunlight through a window can warm a couch cushion and change how strongly a smell rises from it. To a person, these changes may be too faint to notice. For an animal with a stronger nose, the room may feel different after 30 minutes than it does after several hours. That does not mean a pet reads time like numbers on a clock. A dog does not need to understand that the small hand has moved from 2 to 4. A cat does not need to count minutes while lying on a bed. The animal's world is full of changing clues. Scent weakens. Light shifts across the floor. Street sounds come and go. The body moves through its own rhythms of hunger, sleepiness, thirst, and alertness. Together, those clues can give an animal information about how the day is changing. One careful study looked at this in a simple household way. Researchers Therese Wren and Linda Keeling studied 12 privately owned dogs. These were ordinary pet dogs, and they did not have known separation problems. The dogs were recorded at home while their owners were gone for 3 different lengths of time. The shortest absence lasted half an hour. The longer absences lasted 2 hours and 4 hours. During the time alone, many of the dogs spent much of the separation resting. They were often lying down, staying fairly quiet, or moving in calm ways around the home. That detail matters. A pet can notice absence without spending every minute in visible distress. Quiet waiting may look almost like nothing from the outside. The strongest difference appeared when the person returned. After 2 hours and 4 hours, the dogs showed more physical activity than they did after 30 minutes. They paid more attention to their owners. They wagged their tails more. They had more contact and interaction during the greeting. The study did not prove that the dogs were aware of the exact length of time while they were alone. It did show that the length of the absence changed the way they responded when the owner came back. That is a gentle but important difference. The dogs may have been affected by time through many signals working together. The scent of the owner may have faded across the room. Daylight may have moved from one wall to another. Outside traffic may have changed from morning sounds to afternoon sounds. The dog's own body may have shifted from alert to sleepy, from rested to hungry, or from quiet to ready for contact. Time, for a pet, may be felt through the changing shape of the environment. A living room after 30 minutes still carries many fresh traces of the person. After 2 hours, the room has had longer to settle. Air has moved. Fabric has cooled. The house has built a longer stretch of silence. A dog resting near a doorway may not be thinking about hours. Its ears, nose, body, and memory are still receiving information. Even cats, who often seem less obvious in their reactions, live inside these slow changes. A cat may sleep through much of the day and still lift its head at the right sound. A bird may grow quiet during one part of the afternoon, then call when familiar activity usually returns. A rabbit may remain tucked near hay and bedding, while the room keeps its steady, known smell. The animal is not floating in emptiness. It is living inside a changing pattern. Absence becomes a set of fading signals, small body rhythms, and expected returns. Scent gives one part of that pattern. Sound gives another. Light, routine, and the body's internal timing add more. So the quiet hours have texture. They have temperature, odor, brightness, stillness, and small changes that build slowly around the animal. Noticing those changes is only one part of the story. For absence to mean something deeper, the pet has to carry a trace of the person within its own memory. That inner trace can be very quiet. A dog may lie on the rug with its chin against its paws. A cat may sleep in a loose circle on the bed. A rabbit may rest with its body tucked low beside hay and bedding. From the outside, very little seems to be happening. The room is calm. The body is still. The animal may look as if the whole question has faded away. Yet memory does not always announce itself through movement. Much of memory waits beneath behavior until a sound, smell, touch, or familiar sight brings it forward. A dog can seem asleep, then raise its head at the sound of one car door. A cat can ignore many footsteps in a hallway, then turn toward the one pattern it knows. A bird can stay quiet on a perch, then call when a familiar voice enters the room. The memory was already there. The cue simply brought it to the surface. Scientists have studied this kind of hidden memory in dogs in a careful and interesting way. A researcher named Claudia Fagazza and her colleagues used a training method called Do As I Do. In this method, a person performs an action, and the dog learns to copy it. The person might touch an umbrella, step onto a small platform, or move around an object. After watching, the dog hears the cue, "Do it," and copies the action it saw. At first, this sounds like simple imitation. The dog watches, then repeats. The more interesting part came when the researchers changed the pattern. The dogs were trained to lie down after watching a person perform an action. That meant the dog was no longer expecting to copy what it had seen. The action became something observed quietly, then left alone. After a delay, the dog was suddenly given the cue, "Do it." Many of the dogs could still reproduce the earlier action. They had watched something happen, moved on to another behavior, and then brought the earlier event back when asked. Researchers call this episodic-like memory. Episodic memory, in humans, means memory for events. It is the kind of memory that lets a person remember making breakfast, walking through a park, or hearing rain during the night. With animals, scientists usually use the softer term episodic-like memory. That wording is careful. It means the animal can recall something that happened, while avoiding a claim about human-style inner storytelling. A dog may remember an action without explaining it to itself in words. The memory can be stored in movement, place, smell, sight, and expectation. This matters for pets at home because their days are full of repeated events. A person opens the food cupboard. A hand reaches for a leash. A voice says the same soft phrase before leaving. A cat carrier appears in the hallway. A bedtime lamp clicks off. These moments can become part of the animal's practical memory. A pet learns the shape of mornings. It learns which sounds belong to feeding. It learns how a familiar person walks through a room. It learns that one person may scratch under the chin, while another fills the water bowl, while another opens the back door. Language is only one way to hold the past. Animals can carry the past through senses and habits. A dog may remember the route to a park by the corners, trees, and smells along the sidewalk. A cat may remember the warm patch of floor that appears when afternoon light reaches the window. A rabbit may remember the sound of pellets touching ceramic. A parrot may remember a familiar word, a daily greeting, or the rhythm of a person entering the room. So when a pet rests through the quiet hours, stillness does not erase continuity. The animal has lived through many departures and returns. It has learned the sounds before leaving, the scent left behind, and the signs that usually come before reunion. The person exists inside the pet's day as more than a moving shape. The person becomes a stored pattern, a known voice, a familiar smell, a repeated source of food, touch, warmth, play, and safety. Memory gives the animal a way to connect one moment to another. Once that remembered person also helps the animal feel safe, recognition begins to deepen into something steadier. It becomes a bond. A remembered person matters more when that person changes how safe the world feels. Picture a young cat in an unfamiliar room. The floor has a different smell. The walls hold sounds that do not belong to home. A chair leg, a closed door, a strange corner, and a new patch of light all have to be checked. In a moment like that, the animal may look toward the familiar human. A glance, a step closer, or a quiet return to the person's side can show that the human is being used as a point of safety. Scientists call this a secure base. The phrase means a familiar being who helps an animal feel settled enough to explore and steady enough to recover after something uncertain happens. A secure base does not erase stress. It gives the animal somewhere safe to return. This idea has been used for many years in studies of children and caregivers. Researchers later used similar tests with dogs and cats because the pattern can appear in other social bonds too. In one cat attachment study, cats were brought into a room with their caregiver. The caregiver stayed with them for a short time. Then the caregiver left for 2 minutes. After that, the caregiver came back. The researchers watched what the cats did during presence, absence, and reunion. Some cats showed secure attachment. When the person returned, these cats could settle more easily. They might greet the caregiver, then look around the room again. They balanced contact with exploration. Their bodies suggested that the familiar person helped the space feel manageable. Adult cats in that study showed a similar pattern to kittens. Among the adult cats that could be classified, 65.8% were secure. The remaining 34.2% were classified as insecure. Those words can sound harsh, so they need to be held gently. Secure and insecure are research labels for patterns of behavior. They do not mean a pet is good, bad, loving, cold, broken, or spoiled. They describe how the animal manages stress around separation and reunion. An insecure pattern might look like avoidance. A cat may keep distance after the caregiver returns. A different cat may stay very close, showing a clingy pattern. Both responses can be ways of handling uncertainty. The key point is that the caregiver's presence changes the animal's behavior. The person is part of the system the animal uses to feel safe. For a pet at home, this can show up in ordinary ways. A cat may rest better when its person is sitting nearby. A dog may explore a new park more confidently when the leash leads back to a trusted hand. A rabbit may come forward from a hideout when a familiar voice lowers and the room stays calm. A parrot may relax on a perch when the usual person moves through the room in a known rhythm. The animal is learning which beings make the world easier to handle. This is attachment regulation. Regulation means the body's stress level is being helped toward a steadier state. A familiar person can lower uncertainty through smell, voice, touch, routine, and repeated safe return. The pet does not need to explain this. Its body can learn the pattern directly. When the person is present, the room may feel easier to read. When the person leaves, the room may still be safe, yet one stabilizing signal has been removed. That is where missing can begin in a very basic form. A pet may miss the body that feeds it. It may miss the voice that predicts calm. It may miss the familiar movement that makes a room feel normal. It may miss the safe point that helps the rest of the world settle into place. This does not always create distress. Many attached pets rest peacefully while their people are gone. A secure bond can make leaving easier because repeated returns have taught the animal that absence can end. Still, the bond gives absence meaning. The person who left was part of the animal's daily balance. Some pets show this softly through stillness, watching or sleeping near familiar scent. Others make the bond easy to see. Dogs especially often turn absence and return into a full-body event. A dog can turn a quiet absence into movement. The head lifts at a sound in the hall. Ears shift toward the garage. Paws press against the floor before the person has even reached the door. A tail may begin moving before a face appears. Some dogs wait near the entrance. Some move from room to room, checking the places where people usually appear. During departure, the same body can become focused in the other direction. A coat comes off a hook. A work bag lands near a shoe. A hand reaches for the door. The dog may follow closely, because these signals have been learned many times before. Dogs are especially easy to notice because their bodies often speak in large movements. A change in the person's routine can travel through the whole animal. The chest rises faster. The paws tap. The eyes stay fixed on the hand, the hallway, or the gap beneath the door. This visible waiting has a long history behind it. Dogs are widely considered the first domesticated animal. Clear archaeological evidence places dogs with humans more than 14,000 years ago. Some genetic estimates suggest the relationship may have begun even earlier. Long before modern houses, leashes, dog beds, and food bowls, early dogs were living close to human camps. They likely paid attention to human movement, leftover food, firelight, voices, hunting routes, and the edges of settlements. Over thousands of years, the dogs that could read people well had a special advantage. A hand gesture could lead to food. A voice could signal safety. A moving group could mean travel, shelter, or shared work. The modern dog still carries part of that old social tuning. Even a small dog sleeping on a living room rug belongs to a species shaped around human signals. This is why the return of a person can feel so powerful to the animal. The dog is responding to a familiar social being. Its world has been built around human timing, human sound, and human attention. Scientists have even looked at how much human praise can matter inside a dog's brain. In one awake fMRI study, 15 dogs were trained to lie still inside the scanner. The dogs were shown signals that predicted different outcomes. One signal meant food was coming. Another signal meant praise was coming. Another meant no special reward. The researchers watched a brain area called the caudate nucleus. This is a deep part of the brain linked with reward and positive expectation. In simple language, it becomes active when the brain is preparing for something good. In that study, 13 out of 15 dogs showed roughly equal or greater caudate activity for praise-predicting signals compared with food-predicting signals. That is a striking result. For many dogs, human attention can sit beside food as a real reward. A warm voice, a happy greeting, or a familiar person's approval can carry value in the dog's brain. This helps explain why a dog's reunion can feel so personal. The dog may be greeting the return of food, walks, touch, play, and routine. It may also be greeting the person as a social reward. A dog leaning into a leg, circling once near the door, or bringing a toy into the hallway is showing the body's answer to a familiar return. The animal has noticed the absence. It has tracked the signals. Now the missing social center has come back into reach. This kind of reaction can be loud because dogs are built to share attention. Many look where people look. Many follow pointing hands. Many learn the tone of a familiar voice. A dog may hear a car before a human notices it. It may know the sound of one engine, one step on the porch, or one key in the lock. The greeting begins from all those learned details. Still, loudness is only one style of attachment. A bond can be shown through movement, sound, stillness, or quiet return. Cats often carry their attachment in a less theatrical language, and that quieter language is easy to miss. A cat's bond may arrive in smaller signals. The tail rises as the person enters. The body curves once around an ankle. A cheek presses against a pant leg, leaving scent from small glands near the face. A quiet meow appears at the doorway. Then the cat walks away, as if the greeting has already been completed. For many people, this can be confusing. A dog may rush forward with its whole body. A cat may look up, blink, stretch, and return to the warm place on the bed. The behavior is smaller, but the animal is still responding to a familiar person. Cats have a different history from dogs. Domestic cats came from small wildcats that hunted alone for much of their food. Their ancestors did not depend on a large pack in the same way wolves did. A small cat could survive by stalking mice, birds, lizards, and insects in fields, barns, and storage areas. That older hunting style still shapes the modern house cat. Even a cat sleeping beside a radiator belongs to a species built for quiet movement, careful watching, and sudden action. Because of that, cats often show social bonds with less display. They may stay nearby without touching. They may follow from room to room, then sit a few feet away. A cat can be attached while keeping space around its body. Researchers have looked at this more carefully in attachment studies. In one study, kittens and adult cats were brought into a room with their caregiver. The caregiver stayed, left for 2 minutes, and then returned. The researchers watched how the cats used the person during the reunion. Many cats showed what scientists call secure attachment. For kittens that could be classified, 64.3% were secure. For adult cats, 65.8% were secure. A secure cat could greet the caregiver, then explore the room again. That balance mattered. The cat was using the person as a safe point, while still paying attention to the surroundings. Some cats showed patterns that looked more anxious. A cat might avoid contact after the person returned. Another might cling closely and have trouble settling. These labels describe stress patterns, not personality flaws. A cat that hides under a chair, walks past the person, or stays pressed close may simply be handling uncertainty in its own way. This helps explain why missing can look strange in cats. A cat may spend the afternoon sleeping on the owner's side of the bed. It may choose a sweater, a pillow, or the same corner of the couch where the person usually sits. When the person returns, the cat may greet with a raised tail. In cat body language, a vertical tail is often a friendly social signal. Among cats, rubbing also has meaning. When a cat rubs its cheek or side against a person, it leaves scent from glands in the skin. Those scent marks help blend the person into the cat's familiar world. The greeting is part touch and part chemical message. It says that this body belongs in the shared space. A cat's hearing adds another layer. Cats can hear high-pitched sounds beyond the range of human hearing. Their ears can rotate to track small noises like a key turning, a footstep outside the door, or a familiar voice in the hall. A cat may know the sound of one person's walk before the room changes enough for a human to notice. The response may be brief. A head lifts. Whiskers move forward. The body stretches. Then the cat walks toward the sound, or stays still and watches. That small pause can carry recognition. So the cat's version of missing may be built from scent, territory, timing, and selective social contact. The person is part of the home's normal pattern. Their smell belongs on the blanket. Their voice belongs near the food bowl. Their hand belongs in the evening routine. When that pattern is gone, the cat still has the room, the furniture, the resting place, and the familiar scent trail. When the person returns, the pattern becomes whole again. A quiet animal can still notice absence deeply. Once that becomes clear, the question widens beyond cats and dogs. Many pets have their own language for attachment, and some of the smallest signs can be the easiest to overlook. The wider view begins with animals whose bodies speak in very different ways. A parrot may call from a perch when the room changes. A rabbit may stay tucked beneath a wooden hideout. A guinea pig may pause with a piece of hay in its mouth, listening before it moves again. A hamster may wait until the room is darker and quieter before coming out. Each animal carries a different history inside its body. Some pets come from highly social species. Others come from prey species that survive by staying still, hidden, and careful. This changes how absence can appear. Parrots give one of the clearest examples of a social pet. Parrots belong to a large group of birds called Psittacenes, which includes budgies, cockatiels, conures, macaws, cockatoos, and African grey parrots. Many wild parrots spend much of their lives near other birds. They may feed together, fly together, rest together, and call to one another while moving through trees. A flock can help a bird find food, notice danger, learn routes, and stay connected during the day. In that kind of life, sound matters. A call can say, in the simplest possible way, that one bird is still nearby. Some parrots use contact calls to keep track of flock members when leaves, branches, or distance make it hard to see them. Inside a home, a human can become part of that social pattern. The person may bring food, open the cage, talk in the morning, offer a hand, or sit near the bird during quiet parts of the day. When that person leaves, a parrot may call because calling belongs to the way social birds keep contact. A single loud call from a perch may carry more meaning than it first seems. It may be a learned household sound, a check-in, a request for contact, or a reaction to the room becoming less social. Prey animals often show change in a more hidden way. Domestic rabbits come from the European rabbit, a species that naturally uses burrows, tunnels, and cover. A rabbit's safety depends on hearing small sounds, smelling danger, and reaching shelter quickly. Many rabbits prefer to rest with a wall, box, tunnel, or hideout close by. When a rabbit feels unsure, stillness can be useful. A body pressed low to the floor may be a protective response. Large eyes, rotating ears, and a tucked posture can help the animal gather information without making itself obvious. Guinea pigs have a different story, but they also carry prey animal habits. Domestic guinea pigs come from South American cavies, small plant-eating rodents that live close to the ground. They often depend on cover, group awareness, and quick reactions. A guinea pig may respond to a changed room by freezing, hiding, eating less, or making fewer sounds. Because guinea pigs need steady fiber from hay to keep their digestion moving, a clear drop in eating can matter. The same is true for rabbits, whose digestive systems are built for frequent rough plant material. With small mammals, meaningful changes can be quiet. A chinchilla may hide more than usual. A rat may stop coming forward at the usual sound. A rabbit may groom less, sit differently, or ignore a favorite green. A guinea pig may stay in its hideout when it usually comes out for vegetables. These signs need context. A pet may be sleepy. A new sound outside may have passed by the window. The room may be warmer than usual. A feeding time may have shifted. A small animal may simply be choosing safety while the house feels different. The main lesson is to read the animal in its own body. A parrot may show social change through voice. A dog may show it through movement. A cat may show it through scent marking and selective contact. A rabbit or guinea pig may show it by becoming quieter. Recognition, comfort, and stress do not have one shape across species. The animal's survival history gives the behavior its form. That makes the question more careful and more useful. A changed behavior deserves context before it becomes a worry. The pet may be noticing absence, adjusting to a routine, resting through the quiet, or showing real distress. Those possibilities sit close together, and the difference matters. That difference becomes clearer when absence is read with patience. A pet can prefer a person's presence and still be healthy when the person leaves. A dog may watch the door for a few minutes, then sleep. A cat may wait near a window, then move to a warm blanket. A parrot may call once, listen, and begin preening. Those moments can show awareness, attachment, habit, or mild waiting. They do not automatically mean the animal is suffering. Veterinary behavior specialists use more careful language for the stronger form of distress. Separation distress disorders means fear or anxiety that happens during or even before the absence of a specific person. The phrase specific person matters. Some animals may stay calm with one family member at home, then become unsettled when the main caregiver leaves. The body has learned that one particular person is the strongest safety signal. In dogs, the signs can be very concrete. A dog with true separation distress may pace from room to room. It may bark, howl, whine, or scratch at the door. Some dogs chew door frames, window trim, crates, blinds, or baseboards. Others may drool heavily, pant, tremble, or stay unable to rest. House soiling can happen, even in a dog that is normally trained. Some dogs lose interest in food while alone. Others repeat the same movement again and again, such as circling, licking, or moving between the same two places. These signs often appear early. Many dogs with separation problems show the strongest distress within the first 15 to 30 minutes after the person leaves. Some begin reacting even earlier. The coat comes off the hook. The keys move. A shoe touches the floor. The dog's body starts preparing for the absence before the door opens. That timing helps explain why departure can feel so powerful to an animal. The scary part may begin with the first cue, not the final click of the latch. Still, the same messy room can have more than one explanation. A chewed pillow may come from anxiety. It may also come from boredom, teething in a young dog, an interesting smell, or a burst of energy after a long, quiet morning. Barking can come from panic. It can also come from a delivery truck, a dog outside, construction noise, thunder, or voices in the hallway. A tipped bowl may come from stress. It may also come from play, clumsy movement, or a pet searching for something that rolled underneath it. This is why video can be so useful. People usually see the aftermath. They come home to scratches on a door, shredded paper, a wet spot on the floor, or a tired-looking dog. A camera can show the order of events. It can show whether the pet panicked right after departure, slept for 2 hours, woke at a noise, or became active just before the person returned. The timing gives the behavior a clearer shape. A dog that cries for 5 minutes and then sleeps is showing a different pattern from a dog that paces for an hour. A cat that sleeps all afternoon and greets briefly is showing a different pattern from a cat that hides, stops eating, and avoids the room after repeated absences. A rabbit or guinea pig that skips food deserves attention, because these animals rely on steady eating to keep the gut moving. Context keeps the meaning gentle and accurate. Missing can be ordinary. Waiting can be calm. Resting can be healthy. A pet may notice the missing person, adjust to the quiet, and settle into sleep. Clinical distress belongs to a stronger pattern, especially when the animal cannot relax, cannot eat, damages the home, or shows repeated fear around departure cues. This distinction protects the bond from unnecessary guilt. Leaving the house is part of normal human life. Many pets learn that departure is temporary. They learn through repeated days, familiar sounds, and safe returns. The deeper issue sits inside the animal's learned pattern. For one pet, absence may mean a nap near a blanket. For another, it may mean uncertainty rising in the body before the person has even left. The real story is shaped by what the nervous system has learned that absence usually means. Learning like that happens quietly, through the body. A dog hears keys move on a counter. The shoulders tighten before the person reaches the door. A cat sees the carrier come out of a closet and slips under the bed. A parrot notices the morning jacket and gives a sharp call from the perch. The animal is responding to a pattern that has been repeated enough times to feel important. The nervous system is always making predictions. It uses past experience to prepare the body for what may happen soon. A familiar sound can make the heart beat a little faster. A certain movement can make muscles ready to follow, hide, wait, or rest. The animal does not need to decide this in words. The body begins preparing because it has learned the order of events. In separation distress, this learning can start before the person leaves. The absence begins early for the animal. Shoes by the door may be enough. Keys in a hand may be enough. A coat moving from a hook, a work bag lifted from the floor, or the person walking toward the front hall can become charged with meaning. Veterinary behavior specialists describe this as anxiety during anticipation. The pet is reacting to the expected absence before the room is actually empty. That is why the first signs may happen while the person is still home. A dog may follow more closely. Its mouth may close. Its breathing may change. A body that was loose a minute earlier may become stiff near the doorway. The learned cue has already reached the nervous system. This same learning can also build calm. If the person leaves many times and always comes back safely, the pattern can become easier for the pet to hold. The door closes. The room stays safe. The pet rests. Later, the person returns. Repeated days like this can teach the body that absence has an ending. Predictability matters because animals feel safer when they can understand the shape of what is happening. A steady routine gives the pet more information. The food bowl appears at a known time. The walk happens after a familiar sound. The house becomes quiet in a way the animal has lived through before. The person returns in a pattern that has happened many times. For anxious animals, behavior treatment often uses this same idea carefully. One method is called graduated departure training. Graduated means built in small steps. The person leaves for a time short enough that the pet can stay calm, then returns before fear rises too high. At first, that absence may be only a few seconds. Later, it may grow to half a minute, then a few minutes, and eventually longer. The goal is to keep the animal below its fear threshold. A threshold is the point where the body shifts from manageable alertness into distress. Below that point, the pet can still learn. Above that point, the body may be too flooded with fear to take in the lesson. This is why forcing a frightened pet to endure a long absence usually does not teach calm. The body learns from what it experiences. A short, safe absence can become a small proof. Many small proofs can build a steadier expectation. Positive reinforcement can help too. That simply means adding something the animal likes after a wanted behavior. A dog that rests calmly may receive a treat, praise, or access to a comfortable place. A bird that stays settled may hear a soft voice when the person returns. A cat may learn that the normal routine continues without pressure or surprise. The reward helps the animal connect calm behavior with a safe outcome. Still, every pet begins from its own history. Age matters. Past fear matters. Breed, species, health, noise sensitivity, and the shape of the home all matter. A puppy left alone for the first time is learning something new. An older dog that once heard thunder while alone may carry that memory into later departures. A cat that feels safe in one room may feel uncertain in a different house. The nervous system keeps score through experience. It learns what the early cues mean. It learns how long the quiet usually lasts. It learns whether the person returns with steadiness. Because animals learn through repeated patterns, the ordinary daily routine becomes a kind of clock. A pet's day is full of repeated signals. Morning may begin with feet touching the floor, water running in a sink, a food scoop entering a bag, or a can opening on the counter. A dog may know the difference between a weekend morning and a workday morning by how fast the house begins moving. A cat may notice whether the first sound is a soft bedroom step or the sharper rhythm of someone getting ready to leave. A rabbit may learn that vegetables arrive after a refrigerator door opens. A parrot may know that a certain greeting comes after the lights turn on. These patterns give the day a shape. Pets do not need calendars to live inside time. They have body rhythms, household rhythms, and outside rhythms all working together. A body rhythm is the animal's inner timing system. It helps guide sleep, hunger, alertness, digestion, and rest. Daylight adds another signal. A stripe of sun may move across the floor. A room may warm slowly near a window. Traffic outside may grow louder in the morning, soften in the afternoon, and change again when people come home. For a pet, time can be felt through these changes. The food bowl is empty in one part of the day and filled in another. The hallway is busy at 1 hour and quiet at another. The house carries the smell of breakfast, then the cooler stillness of midday, then the warmer scent of evening cooking. The routine becomes a soft clock made from light, sound, smell, hunger, and movement. This helps explain why pets may seem to know when a person is almost home. They may be reading many small signs at once. The outdoor light has shifted. The street has entered its usual evening pattern. The body expects food, contact, or a walk. The house has already passed through the long, quiet part of the day. A study of dogs left alone gives one careful piece of this larger picture. Researchers Therese Rehn and Linda Keeling observed 12 privately owned dogs. The dogs did not have known separation problems. They were left alone for 3 different lengths of time: 30 minutes, 2 hours, and 4 hours. During the separations, many of the dogs spent much of the time resting. They were often lying down, calm, or fairly inactive. That detail keeps the picture gentle. A dog can be affected by absence while still sleeping through much of it. The clearer difference appeared when the owners returned. After 2 hours and 4 hours, the dogs showed more intense greeting behavior than after 30 minutes. They moved more. They paid more attention to the returning person. They wagged their tails more and interacted more during reunion. The study did not show that dogs were counting time in a human way. It showed that the length of the absence mattered to their bodies and behavior. Something about the longer stretch changed the reunion. That something may have been scent fading. It may have been hunger, rest, light, body rhythm, or learned routine. It may have been all of these signals blending together. This is how a pet can live inside a day without needing numbers. A dog near the window may notice the school bus sound that always comes before the street grows quieter. A cat may wake from a nap when the room reaches the temperature it usually has before evening. A guinea pig may begin listening more closely when the household sounds start to return. A parrot may become more vocal when the time for social contact usually arrives. These are small predictions. They help the animal prepare. When the day has repeated many times, the pet learns the order of things. Quiet follows departure. Rest fills the middle. Certain sounds begin near return. The body starts to shift before the person appears. A head lifts from the rug. Ears turn toward the wall. Whiskers angle forward. A bird leans on its perch. A rabbit pauses in the hay. The animal is gathering the first clues that the routine is changing again. Then one familiar sound enters the pattern, and the body begins preparing for reunion. At first, the cue may be almost too small for a person to notice. A low engine sound turns onto the street. A garage door begins to lift. An elevator slows somewhere down the hall. The gate latch clicks outside. The animal hears the pattern before the person appears. For a dog resting on the rug, the head may rise all at once. Ears turn toward the wall. The body that was loose a moment earlier becomes ready. A tail begins moving before the door has opened. For a cat, the change may be quieter. The eyes open. The whiskers shift forward. One paw stretches from beneath the chest. A familiar footstep in the hallway may be enough to bring the cat down from the bed. Birds can respond in their own way. A parrot may lean forward on the perch, grip the wood with its feet, and call toward the sound. A cockatiel may lift its crest, listening to a voice outside the room. Rabbits and guinea pigs may show smaller changes. A rabbit may pause while chewing hay. A guinea pig may freeze near the hideout, then turn toward the usual feeding sound. The body begins to prepare because it has learned what the sound predicts. This is associative learning again, now turned toward return. The car sound has happened before reunion many times. The key in the lock has happened before the door opens. The footstep in the hall has happened before the familiar person enters. Repeated signals teach the nervous system what is likely to happen soon. That early body change is called anticipatory arousal. Arousal simply means the body is becoming more awake, alert, and ready to act. The heart may beat faster. Muscles may tighten. Attention may narrow toward the doorway, window, hallway, or perch side of the room. Anticipation can be calm, excited, worried, or mixed, depending on the animal's history. A healthy pet may become alert, wait for contact, and settle after greeting. A pet with separation distress may show a much stronger greeting with frantic movement, heavy panting, barking, or trouble calming down. The greeting alone has to be read with the rest of the pattern. A dog that slept for most of the day and then became excited at the door is showing a different rhythm from a dog that paced for an hour before the person returned. In the study of 12 dogs left alone for 30 minutes, 2 hours, and 4 hours, the longer absences led to stronger greeting behavior. After 2 and 4 hours, dogs showed more physical activity, more tail wagging, and more attention toward their owners than after 30 minutes. The dogs were not shown to count time like people. Their bodies still responded differently after a longer quiet stretch. By the time the owner came back, the room, scent, light, and body rhythms had all changed. Reunion landed on a nervous system that had been living through that pattern. Sound often becomes the first clear sign that the pattern is turning. A dog may know the deep rumble of one family car among many cars on the street. A cat may recognize a certain step on wooden stairs. A bird may know the rhythm of a familiar voice before the cage cover moves. These responses can seem mysterious from the outside. They become easier to understand when the home is seen as a place full of repeated signals. The pet has heard thousands of small pairings. Footsteps before greeting, keys before entry, a voice before touch, a door before the person's smell fills the room again. The animal is not guessing blindly. It is using the sensory history of the home. Still, a sound only says that someone may be arriving. The deeper recognition happens when several signals come together. The smell at the doorway, the voice in the hall, the shape moving through the room, the old pattern returning in one familiar body. That is where prediction becomes recognition. Recognition gathers itself from several signals arriving close together. A smell reaches through the crack beneath the door. A familiar voice moves down the hallway. The shape outside the window has a known height, a known walk, and a known way of carrying bags, keys, or a coat. A pet may take in all of this before a person has crossed the room. The body builds the answer from odor, sound, movement, timing, and memory. A dog may know one car from another by the engine sound. It may know one person's step on the porch. When the door opens, the smell confirms what the sound began to predict. This is called multisensory recognition. Multisensory simply means that more than one sense is working at the same time. A human might recognize a friend by face and voice together. A pet may recognize a person through scent, footstep rhythm, clothing smell, hand movement, voice tone, and the usual time of return. Dogs are especially useful for studying this because their scent world is so powerful, and because some dogs can be trained to stay still inside brain scanners while awake. In one set of brain studies, dogs smell different biological odors. Some scents came from familiar humans. Other scents came from unfamiliar humans or other animals. Researchers watched an area deep inside the brain called the caudate nucleus. The caudate is linked with reward and positive expectation. When dogs smelled a familiar human, this reward-related part of the brain became strongly active. In plain words, the smell of a known person could turn on part of the dog's reward system. The dog was recognizing something valuable. Human attention can carry value too. In another awake brain scanning study, 15 dogs were shown signals that predicted different outcomes. One signal meant food. Another signal meant praise. A third signal meant no special reward. 13 of the 15 dogs showed roughly equal or stronger reward area activity for praise-predicting signals compared with food-predicting signals. For many dogs, a familiar human's approval can matter deeply. A kind voice, a known face, a hand reaching down, or a cheerful greeting can become part of what the dog's brain expects and wants. This helps explain why reunion can feel so specific. The dog is not simply reacting to motion at the door. It is responding to a familiar social being whose smell, sound, touch, and history all belong together. Cats may use a quieter version of the same broad process. A cat may hear a voice, smell a shoe near the entryway, and see the shape of a person bending down. Its response may be one raised tail, one rub against a leg, or a slow walk into the room. The signals still gather into recognition. For birds, the voice may be especially important. A parrot may know the tone, rhythm, and repeated phrases of one person. A cockatiel may lift its crest when a familiar voice returns after a long quiet part of the day. Small mammals often show recognition through smaller shifts. A rabbit may approach the side of an enclosure when a known person crouches nearby. A guinea pig may answer the familiar sound of the refrigerator, the vegetable drawer, or the person who usually brings food. Each species uses the senses its body gives it. A dog leans heavily on scent. A cat blends scent, sound, territory, and movement. A bird may respond strongly to voice and routine. A rabbit may depend on smell, posture, and the safety of slow, familiar handling. The person becomes a pattern the animal can identify. That pattern is built day after day. The same hand fills the bowl. The same voice speaks from the doorway. The same footsteps cross the floor in the evening. The same body sits on the couch and changes the smell of the blanket. Over time, those signals join into one known presence. So when the pet reacts at reunion, the excitement has a direction. The animal has matched the returning sounds, smells, and movements to a specific familiar being. The waiting pattern has found its answer. Once recognition arrives, the body begins to release what it has been holding. The door opens, and the animal's body changes. A dog that had been resting may rise so quickly that its paws slide once against the floor. The tail begins to sweep from side to side. The body curves around the person's legs. Some dogs circle, lean, hop in place, or bring the nearest toy as if the greeting needs an object to carry it. A cat may come forward with its tail held upright, the tip bending slightly like a small question mark. It may rub its cheek against a shoe, press its side along a pant leg, or give one short meow before moving into the room again. A parrot may call from its perch, fluff its feathers, or step toward the front of the cage. A rabbit may approach with careful little steps, then lower its body once the familiar person is close. A guinea pig may begin to vocalize, especially if the return is connected with vegetables, hay, or the sound of the refrigerator. Reunion is a shift in state. A state is the body's current setting. During the quiet hours, the animal may have been resting, listening, sleeping, or waiting in a low alert way. When the familiar person returns, the body moves toward contact. Muscles activate. Attention narrows. The animal's senses turn toward the person who has come back into reach. For dogs, this change has been measured in a simple home setting. In the study of 12 privately owned dogs, researchers compared how the dogs greeted their owners after different absences. The dogs had been left alone for 30 minutes, 2 hours, and 4 hours. After the 2-hour and 4-hour separations, the dogs showed more tail wagging and more interaction with their owners than they did after 30 minutes. They also showed more physical activity. Some responses were small but noticeable, such as lip licking and body shaking during reunion. A body shake in a dog can happen after excitement, stress, wet fur, or a sudden change in arousal. It is one way the body moves energy through itself. Lip licking can also appear when a dog is excited, uncertain, or emotionally stirred. These signs need context because one movement can have more than one meaning. The whole pattern matters. A dog that rested for most of the absence, then greeted strongly, may be showing the normal rise of reunion. A dog that spent the absence pacing, barking, drooling, or scratching at doors may be showing a more serious separation problem. Veterinary behavior specialists note that exaggerated greetings can occur in separation distress. Greeting intensity alone does not prove anxiety. It has to be read beside what happened before the person returned. Reunion can mix many body processes at once. Relief may be there. Excitement may be there. Learned routine may be there too. The dog knows that return may mean food, a walk, outdoor smells, play, touch, or the evening settling back into place. A cat's reunion can carry the same mixed pattern in a smaller shape. The raised tail, cheek rub, and short vocal sound can place the person back inside the cat's familiar scent world. The cat may greet, then walk away because contact has been made and the room feels ordinary again. For a bird, reunion may bring the sound of a flock member returning, a cockatiel lifting its crest, or a parrot calling from a perch may be responding to social contact coming back into the room. For a rabbit, approach can be meaningful because rabbits are careful animals. A relaxed body near a familiar person can show that the animal recognizes safety. The greeting is the visible part of a larger shift. The quiet pattern of absence gives way to movement, sound, scent, and touch. The pet receives fresh signals from the person's body. Clothes bring outdoor smells. Hands carry familiar skin scent. The voice fills the room again. The body that was absent becomes close enough to sniff, touch, hear, and follow. That is why reunion can feel so personal. It is the moment when recognition becomes contact. Still, the animal may have been waiting for more than one thing. The person brings food, warmth, routine, safety, attention, and familiar smell back into the home. The happy greeting opens a deeper puzzle. What was the pet reaching for during the absence? The person, the care, the comfort, or the whole familiar pattern returning at once? The greeting at the door is real, even when its meaning has several layers. A pet's joy can come from a familiar person, and also from everything that person brings into the animal's day. Food arrives through human hands. Fresh water is poured into a bowl. A leash opens the path to grass, sidewalks, trees, and neighborhood smells. A warm lap appears in the evening. A voice fills the room at predictable times. A hand reaches down with touch the animal knows. For a pet, one person can become many signals joined together. The person may mean safety. The person may mean play. The person may mean the bedroom door opening, the back door unlatching, the cage cover lifting, or the food scoop scraping inside a bin. This makes the bond practical and emotional at the same time. Animals do not separate those things as neatly as people sometimes try to. A dog can value the hand that feeds it, and also value the voice that praises it. A cat can depend on a caregiver for meals, and still use that same caregiver as a point of security. A rabbit may associate a person with vegetables, gentle handling, and a calm floor space nearby. A parrot may connect a person with food, speech, social time, and the feeling of a familiar presence in the room. Scientists have found evidence that human social contact can matter strongly to dogs. In one awake fMRI study, 15 dogs were trained to stay still inside a scanner. The dogs saw different signals. One signal predicted food. Another signal predicted praise. A third signal predicted no special reward. Researchers looked at the caudate nucleus, the deep brain area connected with reward and positive expectation. In 13 of the 15 dogs, the reward response to praise-predicting signals was roughly equal to or greater than the response to food-predicting signals. In simple terms, many of those dogs' brains treated human praise as deeply valuable. Food mattered. The person's approval mattered too. Another dog brain study looked at scent. Dogs were exposed to different biological smells, including scents from familiar humans. The familiar human scent produced strong activity in the same reward-related brain region. That tells us something gentle and important. known person's smell can carry value inside the dog's brain. The scent is connected with expectation, reward, and recognition. It is part of how the animal knows the person belongs to its world. Cats add another layer. In secure-based studies, many cats use their caregiver as a source of security. A secure cat might greet the person, then return to exploring the room. That behavior suggests the caregiver helps the cat settle enough to interact with the wider space. The person is part of the cat's safety pattern. Meals are part of the relationship. So a scent, routine, voice, touch, and the calm return of a familiar body. This is why the question has to stay careful. A pet may miss the person's body in the room. It may miss the schedule that body creates. It may miss the food, the warmth, the walk, the sound, the attention, and the steady shape of the day. All of those pieces can be woven together. The animal experiences the whole pattern. For a dog, the person may be a social companion, a source of reward, and the doorway to the outside world. For a cat, the person may be part of the territory's familiar scent and the safe rhythm of the home. For a bird, the person may be a social partner in a small household flock. For a rabbit or guinea pig, the person may be a large but familiar being whose slow movements predict food and safety. Practical dependence does not make the bond shallow. In animal life, comfort and survival often grow together. A safe creature is worth staying near. A familiar sound is worth answering. A trusted hand is worth recognizing. A returning body can bring the whole day back into order. That is why pets can feel so deeply attached to ordinary routines. The bowl, the door, the bed, the voice, the walk, and the evening light all become part of one familiar system. To understand how humans became such powerful signals, the view has to widen beyond one living room, beyond one doorway, and far back into the long history of animals living beside us. Long before a pet waited beside a couch or listened from a bedroom doorway, animals were learning the shape of human life in much older places. The doorway becomes a camp edge. The food bowl becomes scraps near a fire. The soft bed becomes a patch of ground close to people, smoke, tools, voices, and stored food. Dogs carry the oldest part of this story. They are generally considered the first domesticated animal. Clear signs of dogs living with humans go back at least more than 14,000 years. Some genetic studies suggest the relationship may have begun even earlier, deep in the late Ice Age, when humans were still hunting, gathering, moving across cold landscapes, and living in temporary camps. Early dogs likely came from ancient wolves that could live near people without fleeing or attacking. The calmer animals had access to scraps, bones, warmth, and the edges of human activity. Over many generations, those animals became better at reading people. A human group meant leftover food. A moving camp meant travel. A raised voice, a hand signal, or a shared path could matter. The animals that noticed human patterns had an advantage. Eventually, dogs became helpers, guards, hunting partners, companions, and quiet presences near the places people slept. This placed human routines inside the dog's daily world. The animal learned when people moved. It learned where food appeared. It learned which sounds meant danger, rest, travel, or return. Modern dogs still live inside that old connection, even in apartments, townhouses, farms, and small city homes. A leash on a hook replaces the hunting trail. A car ride replaces the moving camp. A kitchen floor replaces the place near the fire. The human day still shapes the dog's day. Cats entered human life through a different path. Their story is often quieter, closer to grain, walls, and night movement. As humans began farming, stored food attracted rodents. Mice and rats gathered near grain stores, barns, houses, and early settlements. Small wildcats were drawn toward those rodents. The cats that tolerated people could hunt near human food stores. People likely valued the cats because fewer rodents meant safer food. This relationship may have grown slowly, with cats staying partly independent, while still moving closer to human homes. One famous early human-cat burial was found on the island of Cyprus. It is often dated to roughly 9,500 years ago. The burial included a human and a cat, placed close together, suggesting that the bond had already become meaningful far earlier than many people once thought. Newer genetic work continues to refine the exact story of cat domestication. A careful way to say it is that cats likely entered human life through a long relationship with settlements, stored food, rodents, and later trade. Ships helped cats travel too. A cat on a boat could hunt mice and rats that threatened stored grain, rope, and supplies. Over time, cats spread with people into ports, towns, farms, and homes. This made human places part of the cat's world. Even while cats kept many of their independent hunting traits, domestication is often described through genes, bones, and dates. Inside the animal's life, it also means shared routine. Humans became part of where food appeared. Humans became part of where warmth gathered. Humans became part of where danger lowered, shelter stood, and familiar sounds repeated. That matters for the question of absence. A pet misses from inside a world shaped by human timing. Breakfast may depend on a hand. A walk may depend on a door. A bird's social morning may begin when the cover lifts from the cage. A rabbit's greens may arrive when the refrigerator opens. A cat's evening may settle when the same person sits on the same side of the couch. The bond is personal, and it is also ancient. It belongs to living rooms and bedrooms, but it reaches back through camps, farms, barns, ships, and settlements. Still, history only shows the bond from far away. The actual animal waits in the present. Inside one room, one cage, one bed, one sunlit corner, while the quiet hours pass. Inside the present home, the old history becomes very small again. A dog settles near the front door, then slowly lowers its head. A cat turns once on the bed, tucks its paws beneath its chest, and lets the room grow still around it. A parrot grips the perch with 2 feet and watches the brighter part of the window. A rabbit sits in a familiar corner, close to hay, bedding, and the shelter of a box or tunnel. The hours alone can look calmer than people imagine. A pet may sleep through much of the absence. It may shift from one resting place to another. It may sniff the edge of a blanket, listen to a truck outside, drink water, stretch, or watch light move across the floor. In the study of 12 dogs left alone for 30 minutes, 2 hours, and 4 hours, Many of the dogs spent much of the separation lying down or resting. They did not have known separation problems. Their stronger reactions appeared mostly when the owner returned, especially after the longer absences. That detail gives the quiet hours a more realistic shape. A dog can be attached and still rest. A cat can notice a missing person and still sleep. A rabbit can stay calm in its safe place while the house remains familiar. The animal's experience may rise and fall in waves. A dog may nap for 40 minutes, lift its head at the sound of a vehicle, then settle again when the sound passes. A cat may sleep through the middle of the afternoon, then wake when the hallway begins to carry evening footsteps. A bird may stay quiet for a long stretch, then call when the room reaches the time when people usually return. A guinea pig may stay near hay until the refrigerator door opens, or a familiar voice enters the kitchen. This kind of cue-triggered attention is different from continuous distress. The pet's body is responding when a signal becomes meaningful. Sound can bring the animal closer to expectation. Scent can pull attention back toward the absent person. Light, hunger, and routine can make the body more ready for contact at certain times of day. This is why veterinarians and behavior specialists often suggest video or audio recording when a pet seems unsettled during absences. A person usually sees only the ending. They may return to a moved blanket, scratched door, tipped bowl, or tired-looking animal. A camera can show the full pattern. The pet may have slept quietly for hours. It may have reacted to construction noise, thunder, a delivery truck, or another animal outside. It may have paced right after departure, then settled. It may have rested all day and become active only near the usual return time. The order matters. Behavior during absence can come from many causes. Age changes the pattern. A puppy may need more practice being alone. An older dog may sleep more heavily and wake more slowly. A young cat may explore and climb while the house is quiet. A senior cat may choose one warm place and stay there for a long time. A pet's health matters too. Pain, stomach upset, hearing loss, changes in vision, or urinary problems can change what happens when people are away. The environment matters. A quiet apartment feels different from a house beside a busy road. A pet used to one room may feel different in a new home. A dog with a window facing the street may react to passing movement more often than a dog resting in a back bedroom. Prior learning matters as well. A pet with many safe absences behind it may settle quickly. An animal that once experienced thunder, alarms, or fear while alone may become more watchful when the same cues appear again. So the quiet hours are not empty. They are filled with small checks, rests, pauses, and returns to familiar places. The pet may move between a bed, a rug, a crate, a windowsill, a perch, or a shaded corner. These places help organize the day. They hold scent. They hold routine. They give the body somewhere known to return. During those hours, the pet may not have the person close by, but it still has the objects and spaces that carry the person's pattern. A chosen resting place can hold more meaning than it first appears to have. A dog may climb onto the owner's side of the bed after the house grows quiet. A cat may fold itself into the same couch corner where the person usually sits at night. A bird may settle on the perch closest to the side of the room where the person often talks. A rabbit may tuck itself inside a cardboard hideout near hay bedding, and the familiar smell of its own space. These places become part of the animal's map. They hold scent, temperature, habit, and memory together. A pillow can carry skin oils and shampoo. A blanket can hold the faint smell of a hand, a sweater, or a sleeping body. A laundry pile may carry the strongest trace because worn fabric collects sweat, salt, outdoor dust, and the private smell of the person who wore it. For an animal, those traces can make the place easier to understand. The room may be quieter than usual, but the resting place still says something familiar. This is especially clear with dogs, because familiar human scent has been shown to activate reward-related areas in the dog brain. A scent-marked object can carry part of the person's signal into the quiet hours. The object does not replace the person. It gives the animal a familiar cue to rest near. Cats use scent in a slightly different way. A cat may rub its cheeks along furniture, door frames, blankets, and human legs. Those rubbing motions leave chemical messages from scent glands near the face. A cat's resting spot may become familiar because it holds both the person's scent and the cat's own scent. That blend can make the space feel known. Small pets also use familiar places in practical ways. A rabbit's hideout gives cover on more than one side, which matters for a prey animal. A guinea pig may prefer a tunnel or covered bed because open space can feel exposed. A bird may use a certain perch because it gives a clear view of the room while keeping the body in a steady, known position. The place helps organize safety. Veterinary behavior guidance often uses the phrase safe haven for this kind of stable resting area. A safe haven is a comfortable place the animal can return to when the world feels uncertain. For a dog, it might be a crate with the door open, a quiet room, a bed away from windows, or a soft mat in a low-traffic corner. For a cat, it might be a high shelf, a covered bed, or the back of a couch where the animal can see the room without being crowded. For a rabbit, it may be a tunnel, box, or enclosed area with hay nearby. The idea is simple. A stable place can help the body settle because it predicts calm. The animal has rested there before. The smells are known. The floor texture is known. The light changes in a familiar way across that part of the room. In homes where a pet struggles with absence, behavior specialists often recommend observing the animal with video or audio. That helps reveal whether the pet is resting in its safe place, reacting to outside sounds, pacing after departure, or becoming active near the usual return time. The recording gives the quiet hours a clearer shape. It can show that a bed, blanket, crate, perch, or corner is part of how the animal manages the day. Still, the object itself is only one piece of the pattern. A blanket can carry scent. A bed can hold warmth. A corner can give shelter. The deeper lesson comes from what happens again and again around those objects. The person leaves. The house stays steady. The animal rests near familiar things. Later, the person returns. With enough calm repetition, the safe place becomes connected to the whole rhythm of absence ending. A pet may come to trust the room because the room has held many quiet waits before. It may trust the blanket because the blanket has been there through many ordinary afternoons. It may trust the doorway because the person has returned through it so many times. Familiar objects can steady the waiting. repeated return teaches the stronger pattern. Over days, weeks, and years, that pattern can become part of what the animal expects. The person leaves in the morning. The room grows quiet for a while. The familiar places stay steady. Later, the same voice comes back through the door. Each return adds another piece to the animal's memory of how absence usually ends. A pet does not need to understand a full human schedule for this to matter. The body learns through repetition. A dog that has lived through hundreds of calm departures and safe returns has a different history from a dog that is still learning how the empty house works. A cat that has slept through many quiet afternoons may carry that pattern into the next one. A rabbit that has rested in the same hideout while the room stayed peaceful may begin to treat that place as part of the normal day. This is one reason secure attachment matters. In attachment research, a caregiver can act as a source of security during stress. That means the familiar person helps the animal recover after uncertainty. The animal may explore again, settle again, or move through the room with more confidence after the caregiver returns. Over time, those returns can teach the pet that absence has a known ending. The door closes, and the animal has lived this before. The house becomes still, and the animal has rested through that stillness before. The person comes back, and the body receives another quiet proof. Predictability helps many animals feel safer. A predictable routine gives the nervous system more information. The same morning pattern, the same food schedule, the same calm return, and the same gentle greeting all make the day easier to read. Veterinary behavior specialists often use routine and positive reinforcement to help anxious pets. Positive reinforcement means adding something the animal likes after a calm or wanted behavior. For a dog, that could be food, praise, touch, or access to a comfortable place. The reward helps the animal connect calm behavior with a safe result. For pets with separation distress, the learning has to be slow enough for the body to stay below its fear threshold. A threshold is the point where the animal moves from alert but manageable into fear that is too strong to learn from. Graduated departures use this idea. The person leaves for a very short time, short enough that the animal can remain settled. Then the absence grows slowly. The lesson is built from small, safe experiences, rather than one long, frightening one. This shows how deeply the past shapes the future. A pet's reaction to absence is not created only in the moment the person leaves. It is shaped by everything the animal has learned before. A calm home can teach calm waiting. A steady return can teach trust. A frightening event while alone can leave a different mark. Some separation problems can begin or become worse after a scary experience, such as thunder, fireworks, alarms, or loud construction, while the pet is by itself. Dogs with strong noise fears may become more watchful during later absences because the empty house has once held danger. The body remembers more than the person leaving. It remembers what happened while the person was gone. That is why two pets in the same kind of home may react differently. One dog may sleep on a mat until the car returns. Another may pace after the first sound of keys. One cat may rest on a blanket and greet softly. Another may hide after a move, a storm, or a change in routine. The difference can come from age, health, breed, species, early life, learn safety, and pass fear. The animal is always building expectations from experience. Every ordinary return becomes part of that learning. The person's shoes come off. The bowl is checked. The leash may move. The voice fills the hallway again. The room regains its familiar pattern. For the pet, reunion teaches tomorrow. It tells the body what absence has meant before and what it may mean again. So when we ask whether pets miss us, the answer begins to spread across many systems at once. Scent remains in the room. Memory holds familiar events. Safety grows through repetition. Expectation builds from the long record of leaving and coming home. All of those systems come together inside the quiet word people use so easily: missing. For a human, missing someone can mean a clear inner story. A person can think about yesterday, picture a face, count the hours, and wonder when the door will open again. A pet's experience is likely built in a more sensory way. The animal notices the changed room. It recognizes the missing sound. It reads the fading scent. It remembers familiar routines. It expects certain returns because the day has taught those returns many times before. That gives the word missing a softer animal meaning. For many pets, missing may mean that a known pattern has opened up. The person who usually moves through the room is absent. The voice that predicts food, touch, walks, play, or calm is gone for a while. The scent remains in fabric, bedding, and doorways. The animal's body keeps listening for the signals that usually bring the person back. Dogs show this clearly because their bodies often make the process visible. In studies where dogs were left alone for different lengths of time, the longer absences changed the reunion. After 2 and 4 hours, many dogs greeted with more movement, more tail wagging, and more attention toward the returning owner than after 30 minutes. That does not prove a dog was thinking in human words during the whole wait. It shows that the time away mattered to the dog's body. The absence left a mark that appeared when the person returned. Brain studies add another layer. When dogs smelled the scent of a familiar human, a reward-related part of the brain became active. When dogs saw signals that predicted praise, many showed reward responses as strong as, or stronger than, those linked with food. For some dogs, a person is deeply tied to social reward. The smell, voice, attention, and return of that person can carry real value. Cats show the idea in a quieter shape. In secure-based studies, many cats use their caregiver as a source of safety. A secure cat might greet the person, then explore again. That small balance matters. The cat is showing that the familiar human helps the room become easier to handle. A cat may miss through a different pattern than a dog. It may sleep near a sweater, rub a cheek against a doorway, lift its tail at reunion, or settle once the familiar person is back in the room. Birds may carry the pattern through sound and social rhythm. A parrot may call because flock animals use voice to keep contact. A cockatiel may react to a familiar phrase, a known step, or the usual time when the room becomes social again. Rabbits and guinea pigs may show the pattern through careful approach, hiding, stillness, appetite, or movement near a familiar person. Prey animals often speak softly with their bodies. Their signs can be small because safety, for them, often begins with quiet. Separation. Distress belongs to the stronger end of this range. A pet with true distress may panic, pace, vocalize, drool, chew, soil the house, stop eating, or fail to settle. That is different from ordinary attachment. Many healthy pets notice absence, wait for familiar cues, and rest through much of the day. The whole pattern has to be read gently. Missing, in animal terms, can be a blend of recognition, memory, safety, and expectation. It can live in the way a dog lifts its head before the door opens. It can live in the way a cat chooses the person's side of the bed. It can live in a bird's call, a rabbit's cautious step forward, or a guinea pig's response to the sound of a known voice. The bond is built from daily evidence. A bowl filled, a blanket shared, a voice repeated, a hand recognized, a door closed and opened again. Across many days, the animal learns that one familiar being belongs to its world. So the answer becomes careful and comforting. Many pets can feel the change we leave behind. Many can recognize us, remember our routines, wait for our return, and respond when we come back. Their way of missing is built differently from ours, and it can still be real. With that answer resting quietly in place, the story can return to the doorway, now changed by everything the room, the body, and the animal have shown us. At the doorway, the quiet feels different now. The room is still the same room. A mat lies near the entrance. A blanket rests on the couch. A food bowl sits in its usual place. A pet may be sleeping, listening, watching, or simply settled in the familiar shape of home. Yet the quiet is easier to understand. When a person leaves, the animal notices real changes. Footsteps disappear from the floor. A voice leaves the air. A chair stops moving. The door closes and the daily pattern shifts. For a dog, a familiar human scent may remain on fabric, skin oils, bedding, and the places where hands have touched. That scent can carry value. A known voice can carry value too. For many dogs, social contact with a familiar person is part of the reward system of life. It belongs beside food, walks, touch, play, and the ordinary comfort of being near someone trusted. For a cat, the bond may be quieter. A secure cat may greet, then explore again. It may sleep on the person's side of the bed. It may rub its cheek along a doorway, leaving its own scent where the person's scent already belongs. The greeting may last only a few seconds, yet the pattern can still be meaningful. A cat can use a caregiver as part of its safety in the room. Other pets carry the same idea in their own bodies. A parrot may call toward a familiar voice. A rabbit may stay close to a safe corner, then step forward when the usual person returns. A guinea pig may answer the sound of the refrigerator, the vegetable drawer, or the feet that usually bring food. Some pets rest calmly for much of the absence. They sleep, shift places, listen to outside sounds, and wait inside the slow rhythm of the day. This is a comforting part of the answer. Being missed does not have to mean that an animal suffers through every minute alone. Often, the pet is living inside a known routine. The house grows quiet. The light moves. The body rests. The familiar scent remains. Later, the person returns. Each safe return teaches the next absence. The animal learns that the door can close and open again. It learns that quiet can end in a known voice. It learns that waiting can lead back to touch, food, warmth, and the old rhythm of the home. So the bond becomes a kind of map. This map is built from smell, sound, memory, body signals, safe places, and repeated returns. It tells the animal what belongs. It tells the animal who is familiar. It tells the animal where the calm parts of life usually come from. A pet may not miss in human language. It may not measure the day in sentences or count the hours with clear thoughts. Its experience may be softer, more physical, and more sensory. A missing person can be felt as a changed room. A remembered person can live in a smell on a blanket. A returning person can bring the whole pattern back into place. That is enough to make the bond real. Tonight, the house can be imagined in that gentle way. A dog resting near the hallway. A cat curled on a warm blanket. A bird settled on its perch. A rabbit tucked beside hay. A small pet breathing quietly in the dim room. The world around them is made of familiar signals. Some are present. Some are absent for a while. Some are waiting to return. The door may close for an hour, an afternoon, or the length of an ordinary workday. The bond does not vanish when the room becomes quiet. It remains in the animal's memory, in the home's scent, in the trusted routine, and in the long record of coming back. So when the pet rests, the waiting does not have to feel empty. The person is away. The room is calm. The familiar places hold steady. Somewhere in that soft pattern, the animal has learned that absence can end. The light stays on in small ways. In the blanket, in the doorway, in the resting body, in the quiet knowledge of return. And for now, the house can settle. The animal can settle. The night can settle around them both.